On the Red Carpet presents a behind-the-scenes look at Searchlight Pictures' Poor Things, nominated for 11 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Actress Emma Stone, Best Supporting Actor Mark Ruffalo, and Best Director Yorgos Lanthimos.
Mr. McCandles, this is Bella.
Hello, Bella.
Oh,
Bud.
blood.
Bud.
Blood.
I was blown away by Bella, by the character. I don't think I've ever seen or read anyone like that. And this story of a woman who's free of any preconceived notions, taking a journey that leads her to discover herself.
Where did she come from?
She's an experiment. Her brain and her body are not quite synchronized, but she's progressing at an accelerated pace.
It's an incredibly challenging part. It's probably the hardest part I've ever played.
Yes, out.
Bella.
That you could have the kind of mind that isn't taught to be a certain way, I think that's very inspiring.
Do you wish to marry her?
It would be my honor.
One condition, you must live here with me always.
My character, the doctor, sees her as an experiment, which at some point reaches a crisis.
You hold Bella too tight. I must set forth into waters.
A woman plotting her course to freedom. How delightful.
All of these things that women are conditioned a whole lifetime through do not apply to her. As she's exploring her sexuality, as she's exploring society, without any understanding what the norms are or the rules.
Why I keep it in my mouth if it is revolting?
You will confine yourself to 3 phrases. How marvelous, delighted, and how do they make the pastry so crisp, yes?
You get some very funny situation.
Oh.
I read the novel around 2010, I think, and I immediately got very excited.
Yes, it is exciting, Bella.
It's an extraordinary novel written by Alistair Gray. Highly original. But I wasn't at all surprised that Yorgos long nurtured a desire to make this film.
Yorgos told me that there's been one movie he's been wanting to make that everyone's like, do not make that movie. And then he said to me, so we're gonna make that movie.
I was actually surprised that it wasn't already done. We contacted Alistair Gray. We went to his house. I didn't have to say much to him. He said, I watched your film Dogtooth, and I'd be happy to give you my novel, and you can make it into a film.
The year that we made The Favorite, which was 2017, Yorgos and I started talking about Poor Things. The idea of having a brain that is brand new. What would that be? What would a woman be? What would a man be? What would anyone be?
Yorgos just sent it to me and said it's kind of a wild book, but it's amazing and I really want to make it into a movie. And how would we do that? How would you adapt it?
Tell me what all this means or I'll go to the police.
I shall, for it is a happy tale.
It works off a sort of Frankenstein genre. He was drawn to that idea of what sort of movie we could make around that genre that was something else. The inversion of the monster being this very beautiful young woman was interesting.
All my research had come to this moment. It was obvious.
It was?
I suppose it's a version of the Frankenstein story, but then you leave that behind. It becomes something else. Primarily because of the relationship between my character, the doctor, and Emma Stone's Bella is quite different.
They were so happy to be back together.
The story was just inspiring as a woman in the world to imagine that she could operate a completely non-socially conditioned way. How men react to that, how other women react to that, and how she expands and who she discovers she is was fascinating to me.
Emma's been really so much part of it. She's a producer on the film. She's been very important in how we've developed the story and how we're talking about putting it out into the world and very much guiding that.
Especially now, I don't know how this could have been, made without her. Everything that we considered that had to do with the film, I would just discuss it with her. Researching and designing the world, I would share all the visuals with her.
The process of making the film has been, it's incredibly complicated. Thinking about what the scale of it would be and what the world would look like, and I was so excited. Good evening.
She's unbelievable. She's really tracking the progression of this character because it's such a fine line of how to thread the development of the brain, and especially as we shoot things out of order sometimes, the way that she is able to track where she's at, step into it, not just with her voice, but also with her body, and still have the timing of the scene. She's really balancing a lot.
And it's alluring, it's exciting. You're drawn to that innocence and you're drawn to the curiosity that she has and the absorption of the world that she has.
I wanted to play Bella because it felt like acceptance of what it is to be a woman, what it is to be free, what it is to be confident, and just a little bit.
We will need less of your tongue in the future, but overall most agreeable.
Oscar Sunday is March 10th. Live red carpet coverage begins at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 Pacific, with Countdown to Oscars on the red carpet live. Then, it's On the Red Carpet at the Oscars with George Pinocchio at 4 p.m. 1 Pacific. At 6:30 p.m., the Academy pre-show, and then the 96th Oscars, hosted by Jimmy Kimmel at a new early start time, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific, only on ABC.
Willem has this playful quality that's just constantly there. The wheels are always turning.
I can't let you go.
If you do not, Bella's insides shall turn rotten with hate.
Hate?
Hate. He's a genius, and there's nothing put on or funny business just for funny business. It's all like incredibly genuine and rooted inside of him.
Willem never wants to leave set. He sleeps on set if he's too tired, lies somewhere on a couch or something until it's time for him to work. And that's great for all of us.
Willem is such a generous performer and scene partner, and he's somebody that owns the energy of the character and does his own thing, but he also makes room for everyone that's there.
We would play around and do exercises and physical stuff to create this ensemble. And Mark was so funny, I was always in the danger of pissing my pants. Okay.
Are you 5 years old that you can't hold your water?
Weak bladder, sir, like my father before me and his before him.
I never really do rehearsals in terms of how the film is gonna be. But Mark came in and he had this idea. We started having so much fun with him and the character, and I was laughing so hard throughout the rehearsals. We couldn't see him any other way.
You really get to know people and you really get to love them. We had a trust which was very free and very safe, which is a dream. That's what you want actors to feel.
I had to meet this woman who would inspire such a contract of marriage that imprisons her.
He sells himself as an anarchist, kind of. But of course, Duncan's this raging narcissist.
You're a prisoner, and I aim to free you.
I think it's just brilliant casting on Yorgos' part because I don't think you would expect to see someone as soulful and sensitive as Mark play this type of person, and he does it so brilliantly.
From her.
Max is this kind of poor, disheveled student who clearly is in awe of his professor.
He's an extraordinary surgeon. His research is groundbreaking.
Mr. Max McCandles, walk with me at the end of the lesson.
Yorgos was really struck by Rami and what a skilled actor he is. He brings such intelligence, such sensitivity.
I always did his shot last when we didn't have time because I knew he would get it immediately. He was so into the tone and the humor.
It is your body, Bella Baxter. Yours to give freely.
I generally charge 30 francs.
Well, that seems low.
And manages to create this character who is a little bit of an outsider, who finds a community of other outsiders.
Has she ever been outside?
I just want to work with people that I like their work. And if I think that they also bring something extra to the character, then I just want to have them around because, you know, they're brilliant people and I just want them to be part of what we're making.
I am a man of science. I just need to engage in and continue the project.
Yorgos is searching for the humanity in extremis, if that makes sense. Maybe people wouldn't describe his films as comedies.
I must go punch that baby.
They're all incredibly funny. And I think he's one of the few filmmakers who can pivot from the most outrageous violence to high comedy.
Bella, where were you? You disappeared.
I did not. Nobody can just disappear.
What?
Can they? Disappear?
No, of course not.
One thing about his work that's interesting is how easily he moves through style. I mean, when you look at like Killing of a Sacred Deer, The Favorite, and Lobster, you wouldn't necessarily know those are all made by the same filmmaker.
He and I are opposite in almost every way. But the combination has been one of the greatest gifts of my life. I trust him implicitly, and I think he's hilarious, and it has been an honor to get to work with him the amount of times I have, and I hope we can continue to for a very long time.
Thank you. You have the best notes.
He's very precise about rhythm, certain shifts in the scene. He gives you excellent challenges, and I love that kind of call and response because he's just helping to orchestrate something that's very rich, and you're one of the players.
There are definitely unconventional things that we do. I mean, the rehearsal itself was really fun because we're not trying to get the script right. We're just going through the script and trying a bunch of different things.
He doesn't have to say a lot. Mostly what he's asking you to do is to be present and not to be performative. And when you get in these kind of Victorian dialects and big language, it tends to want to get histrionic. And he just is like, stop acting.
I am Bella Baxter. There is a world to enjoy, traverse, circumnavigate. Let us do this.
I always thought that we should build a world according to Bella and to her understanding and perception of it.
We're in Budapest, in Hungary, shooting on many sound stages. Our world has been built. It's been unbelievable.
I was looking for someone to do, the production design for this film, and I could never figure out someone specific. I thought that maybe if I put two people that have, very different minds together, and if it worked out and if they got along, it would become something very interesting.
We all share as collaborators an admiration for Yorgos's work and absolute love of the script.
I have adventured it and found nothing but sugar and violence. It is most charming.
It felt sort of timeless. Your mind just starts racing of where it could go. London, Lisbon, Paris. We've built a composite set, epic in scale. Yorgos wanted a 1930s film, but with today's technology.
They worked very closely in tandem, and I remember seeing the early lookbooks of what they were working on because they have two very different sensibilities that seem to have met up so beautifully.
It really defines the story we're telling. It's got a refined aesthetic, but it's also got a sense of humor. Sometimes I just wander around. I got scared for a second. I thought we were trapped in here. This house is fantastic in every sense of the word. It is a thing unto itself. It shapes how you act. It shapes how you feel. This is the dining room. This is where we have dinner. This is a piano that Bella plays around with. This is an interesting floor.
This idea of sort of cutting and splicing and opening up, which is his job, I imagined he would do that within his home. So he just cut into walls and open things up, knock things through. That was what I imagined Baxter would do with his own home because he wants Bella to be happy here and to not need anything more than here.
This is Bella's room. Dressing and the detail is quite extraordinary. There's nothing really normal or familiar.
There's so much originality. There are fish on Bella's ceiling, and there's seaweed and a mirror that has ears and these padded silk walls with cityscapes sewn in. And I want to copy it. I want to live in that bedroom.
Bella's an adult, but she needed sort of soft corners and things that she couldn't hurt herself on. So her room is incredibly soft and very beautiful.
I mean, you could see they've created a world. It's Victorian, it's a dream, it's gorgeous, and it really does serve kind of the vision of Yorgos Lanthimos, who, above everything else, wants creative license.
You don't have to make anything up. Everything's there. Everything that you need is there, and then there's more. It feels like something of the era, but also it has so many nods to the future.
We use the latest technology, but also tapped into some old school techniques like miniatures or painted backdrops. And I think it was an interesting combination of techniques.
I've never seen anything like it, and it is as big as it looks, even in a 4mm lens, which is the widest possible angle. It's bigger than that.
Yorgos loves black and white. Sure, why wouldn't you? It's a beautiful, beautiful celluloid. I remember when we were in prep that he's thinking the first bit of the film should be in black and white, and then when she goes on her journey that this kaleidoscope of colour comes out.
In the beginning, we're supposed to shoot less black and white, but we did the tests, and it looked so incredible that I wanted to shoot some more, so we decided to do the first part. But also, it would be interesting for us as well to not have seen her world clearly until she starts her journey. There's this film stock called Ektachrome. It has this very colorful texture. It's like a huge leap for her forward.
Ektachrome was something Yorgos is keen on trying. It's a reversal film, so it's a very, very colourful and contrasty stock. It pushes reality a bit, and that's what Poor Things is about. It's got stopped manufactured for a while, and then they brought it out again as a 16mm stock. Yorgos was keen to try and get Kodak to make it as a 35mm stock. And it really does come from the director to kind of push for these not necessarily economical ways of filming, but are very bespoke and very unique.
Holly, our costume designer, came in with so many boards and so many ideas that were just brilliant. I flew to Athens before our rehearsal process to do a long early fitting with Holly and Yorgos.
I was quite fascinated by this discordancy between these period costumes and how would you wear them if you were actually a child, a baby, or a toddler in these very elegant grown woman's clothes. I found that really fascinating.
We had a very good starting point with Bella because she's so unique. It gives you the freedom to, think outside the box. Basically, we're free to experience the film, through our contemporary status.
We very quickly decided that she should always have bare feet, like a lot of young children. She may have been dressed in the morning by Mrs. Prim, but has lost most of it by lunchtime. So they're always worn with a pair of knickers, or with a pair of bloomers, or with a little play suit, or a weird bustle.
She really had these ideas for textures and intestinal or body parts. Like everything symbolizes something in our bodies.
How marvelous.
Yorgos is really drawn to strange material qualities. He likes things that have a hard-to-place texture.
Everybody's costume was gorgeous. I could walk down Fifth Avenue with this today, then actually look cool.
Men were very peacockish in the Victorian age. I mean, sumptuous, like wild. They were into their clothes and their look, and we took that to the extreme. I mean, I probably had like 15 fittings. Everything was tailor-made.
Stop talking!
When I listen to Jerskin's music, there's something about the sound, the instrumentation, that doesn't necessarily follow known structures. And in a way, he can create almost abstract, playful stuff on an emotional level.
In terms of the music, Yorgos, he really likes to use music in a way that either totally subverts the emotion of the scene or like amplifies it. I started thinking about instrumentation and textures quite early. I was very affected by seeing the designs I was sent, the set designs, costumes and the props and everything. They were so vivid, very beautiful and tactile, but also kind of garish and poisonous and toxic. I wanted to have a lot of instruments that involved air and mechanics, matched this kind of bizarre Victorian cyborg thing going on. Things which are very beautiful, but also very uneasy. I think there were things like glockenspiels and harps, which are traditionally very kind of pretty. We ended up bending and manipulating and have something that almost felt familiar. I was so struck by how childish all of the characters were and how not just Bella, who literally is a child, but like everyone else, Godwin, Max, Duncan, that they're all in their own ways very immature and very naive. When you're younger, when you see kids not being able to control their emotions at all, they're like unrealistically happy or completely, burst into tears at nothing. And I wanted that kind of real volatility and childishness in the music.
For now, it's not the kind of film that gets made in the world at the moment, and people really want to get behind that vision.
Basically, all these things as a student or film cinephile, you go, oh, I'd love to shoot on that. And Yorgos was able to achieve that.
You can just immerse yourself into that world, and they can just be. They don't have to think or imagine that it's there.
I was thinking about that on set, like, I want to see this. Like day one, in a dream world at the ArcLight on a Friday.
It's just a fun thing after 6 years to suddenly see it all come to life. It's better than you could have imagined,
As we perform it, I'm even more surprised. Even though I know it's gonna happen, I'm still surprised.
It's kind of everything I needed at that moment. You'll rarely find a director who's always with you by the camera, and he's there.
I feel like his bizarreness is coming from his heart. He's breaking all the rules too. They're just all a bunch of weirdos in the greatest way.
That creates a relationship. It's not just a set, it's a place that I will always remember.
I loved the script from the beginning. What I really love about the stories that Yorgos tells, they tend to be challenging and morally ambiguous and leave you with more questions sometimes than answers. It just felt like the perfect combination of all of that.
It took a while, but I think both I progressed and made things, and the world also progressed a little bit and was ready maybe to accept this story.
Want more entertainment news? Follow On the Red Carpet on social and subscribe on YouTube.